Okay, so conflict resolution versus conflict management or conflict de-escalation. So what does that mean? And well, first of all, I guess we should say that most martial arts schools, they don't talk much about this. You know, you go in and you kick and punch and you learn skills like that, or maybe even learn self-defense moves or things like that. But they just give a little, say, very brief talk on things like this, but I'm going to give you a little overview of this. So conflict resolution. First of all, conflict resolution is basically the idea that if there's a conflict, that we can resolve it and it will be done. So someone argues with you, they start calling you names, they're screaming at you, and you're able to talk to them and come to some sort of resolution, and everything's better. That doesn't happen very often. So what do we do when we can't resolve conflict? The first thing we do is we try to de-escalate. So we want to de-escalate the conflict or manage the conflict. And by manage, I mean there's bad and there's worse. So we don't want to make it worse. If it's already bad, we're going to keep it at bad. If we can, we'll get it better, but at least we're not going to let it get worse. And that's kind of the general rule for everything. So we are going to manage the conflict. We're going to manage the damage instead of if we can't resolve it. So before the incident gets physical, before there is any striking or pushing or anything like that, when it's just verbal, emotional, things like that, our goal is always to de-escalate. So to do this, we need to stay in a calm position. We need to mentally, I guess, and we need to not let our emotions rule us. And we have to remember that the main things that cause issues like this, or physical altercations or things like that, are alcohol and drugs is one. So if you can avoid situations where those things are being used, you're gonna get rid of a lot of these problems. Another thing is fear and instinct. So when people are afraid, they act irrationally. Or if their testosterone's pumping and they feel like they're being threatened, fights happen, things like that happen because of that. And another reason they happen is because people have issues, right? They got a chip on their shoulder, whatnot. They feel insecure subconsciously. So all these things lead to that. So the thing to remember is when they're yelling at you or they're calling you names, often it's not about you, it's about them. And even if it is about you, if they were well balanced, they wouldn't be acting that way. They'd come to you with a rational level of speech and talk to you about it and figure out what the solution is. So remember, it's not about you, it's about them. And if it is about you, there's no need to get emotional, and you can de-escalate that situation. But of course, the other person isn't going to de-escalate often. They're going to keep going. And the thing that usually happens is they do something, then you do something to bring it up, and then they do something to bring it up, and it just keeps escalating. And both of you are thinking like, you need to listen to me because I'm right. And it never gets resolved that way, very infrequently at least. So we want to de-escalate it. One way to do that is to, give them what they want, in a sense. Like they want their ego wants to be stroked at this point. So you can say, if they want to fight or whatever, you say, I'm an old guy, you beat me up. I certainly don't want to do that. So, or, and you look like you work out a lot, I don't want to have anything to do with that. And inside, outside I'm saying that, but inside I'm thinking like, I've been training for years and I'm pretty confident in my skills, but they don't need to know that. You know what I mean? My goal isn't to fight. My goal is to de-escalate and save myself, and even sometimes at a higher level, save that person from themselves, save them from their own aggression. You know what I mean? Maybe they will get hurt and they don't even know it. So I'm saving both of us by acting, kind of as my higher self, I'd say. So yeah, just kind of, talk to him that way. I had one instructor say whenever he saw somebody with cauliflower ears and broken noses, he said, we became best friends, when we met. Like, hey man, do you train, like, you look like, I see the ears, do you wrestle, do you do jujitsu or something? So, and that de-escalates the conflict. And even if you don't like the person, you know what I mean? It de-escalates the conflict. So we want to, we would like to get to the point where we can talk and negotiate with a person and come to some sort of compromise that makes us both feel better. But if we can't, we want to de-escalate and do our part not to escalate and manage the damage. And we never want it to get physical. That's our goal as a martial artist. We only train the physical so that we can, or we only train the physical so that we have it if we need it, so that we can keep developing ourselves to a higher level in all other aspects of our life. And a last thing I'll say is, we have to think to ourselves that no one can take us off our center. That if they take us off our center, we lost already. So if someone's yelling at you or they get you moving or they get you upset, that you lost already. We should be so centered in ourselves and work on ourselves so much that we never get taken off center. Even when we're getting crushed or punched in the face, like, I don't get emotional. I'm thinking about what I need to do and I never get off center. I'm never mentally moved. So that's something that takes a lot of practice, and you can practice it luckily all the time. The next time you get cut off in traffic, the next time when someone's driving too slow, the next time one of your friends or relatives says something you don't like, it doesn't matter. That's on them. That's all their life, and they get the choice to do what they want to do with their life just like you do. But they don't have the choice to take me off center. That I have to give that to them. So remember that. Just some thoughts on some, we'd like to resolve conflict. If we can't, we're going to de-escalate and manage the damage. So hopefully that helped and gave you some ideas to think about. Like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for listening.